20 seconds. That was the precise, almost surgical amount of time it took for the collective hum of 78,000 skeptical voices to morph into a singular, thunderous roar of pure shock and undeniable awe. Ronda Rousey, the name itself, a potent cocktail of Olympic glory, UFC dominance, and red carpet glamour, had just made her grand entrance through the ropes of WWE for the very first time at WrestleMania 34. And within that shockingly brief, electrifying exchange, she didn't just participate. She utterly flipped the script, shattering every cynical celebrity tourist joke ever hurled her way. The air in that colossal building, the very atmosphere in millions of homes worldwide, crackled with an unexpected energy. No one, absolutely no one, anticipated the seismic shift that was about to unfold. The truth of her presence and the sheer force of her will was about to be laid bare, and it would redefine expectations for years to come. To truly grasp the magnitude of that moment, let's rewind a bit, back to the crisp electric atmosphere of Royal Rumble weekend in 2018. WWE, with its characteristic flair for the dramatic, teased an impending, historic announcement. The anticipation was palpable, a low thrum through the wrestling world. Then out walked Rousey, a vision in a sleek leather jacket, her gaze unwavering as she nodded directly into the hard camera. It was a gesture that spoke volumes, a silent declaration that she already owned the place, a confidence that, at the time, felt audacious, even presumptuous. Within minutes, social media ignited, becoming a battleground of fervent opinions. On one side, half the fan base, quick to dismiss, branded it a cheap pop, a transparent ploy for mainstream headlines, a cynical nod to Hollywood over genuine wrestling. On the other, the eye-rollers, the purists, sighed with a weary resignation. Great, another Hollywood brat here for a quick payday. The resentment, when examined closely, made perfect sense. WrestleMania season, historically, is when the part-timers, the mainstream celebrities, swoop in, snagging the most coveted spotlights, only to jet back to their gilded lives in Los Angeles once the spectacle concludes. Fans had witnessed this script before, with the likes of Floyd Mayweather Jr., with Snooki from Jersey Shore, and now, they believed, they were seeing it again with the woman famously dubbed the baddest woman on the planet. Except this time it became clear she wasn't just selling a pay-per-view. She was, whether she knew it or not, selling a fairy tale, a narrative of transformation that she hadn't even begun to write. The perception was clear. An outsider had arrived, and the wrestling world braced itself for what it assumed would be a fleeting, superficial engagement. The wrestling locker room, an ecosystem unto itself, is a truly peculiar place. It's a family, yes, bound by shared sacrifice and an unspoken code, but it's also, in many ways, a high school, rife with its own hierarchies, its own unspoken rules of respect and earned privilege. If you haven't paid your dues, the grueling, often thankless journey of driving 300 miles through the night in a beat-up rental car, all for a meager $50 payoff at a dimly lit Armory show, then you are automatically viewed with a suspicious, side-eyed skepticism when you dare to skip the line. It's a deeply ingrained cultural ethos. Rousey's resume, when laid out, read like something torn from the pages of a superhero comic. Olympic judo bronze medalist at the tender age of 21, Strikeforce champion, the first woman ever signed to the UFC, a staggering 6 successful title defenses, a global phenomenon generating massive pay-per-view draws, gracing countless magazine covers and starring in blockbuster films. On paper, it sounded utterly amazing, a testament to unparalleled athletic achievement. But to a full-time professional wrestler, someone who had dedicated a decade or more to perfecting the intricate art of ring psychology in dusty, forgotten armories and small-town gymnasiums, it was a different story entirely. It was a stark reminder of their own arduous, often invisible grind. So, when WWE's promotional video package, a slick, high-production piece designed to build excitement, proudly bragged that Ronda had never had a singles match, the reaction from the hardcore fan base wasn't excitement, as intended. It was, instead, a palpable wave of annoyance, a collective eye roll. The logic, simple yet brutal in the fan handbook, was this: she hasn't earned it through the traditional hard-fought path, therefore she won't be any good. Therefore she is unjustly stealing a spot from someone who has dedicated their life to this craft. It was a clear-cut case of perceived injustice, a direct challenge to the established order, and the heat on Rousey intensified with every passing day. The locker room, in its silent judgment, and the fans, in their vocal disdain, were unified in their skepticism. Fast forward 2 pivotal months. The Raw after Elimination Chamber. The stage was meticulously set for a confrontation designed to amplify the existing skepticism surrounding Rousey. Kurt Angle, the venerable Olympic gold medalist and WWE Hall of Famer, barged into Stephanie McMahon's opulent office, making an accidentally on purpose mention that WWE's biggest acquisition was indeed present, poised to shake the very foundations of the company. It was a classic WWE trope, designed to build intrigue while simultaneously highlighting the perceived audacity of Rousey's arrival. Then, she entered. Rousey, contract clutched in hand, a wide-eyed, starstruck smile plastered across her face, and, crucially, absolutely zero mic polish. Her promo was a halting, awkward affair, a series of stumbles and missed cues. She pointed to the wrong hard camera, a rookie mistake that amplified the whispers of her inexperience. And then, the moment that resonated deeply with every critic, Stephanie McMahon, the quintessential villainess, delivered a sharp, echoing slap across Rousey's face. The smack, amplified by the arena's acoustics, reverberated not just through the building, but through the digital world, sounding like a definitive permission slip for every single detractor to declare, with a smug sense of vindication, "See, she's green, she's awkward, she's not one of us." The segment concluded with Rousey, visibly shaken yet resolute, signing her name on the contract. But the headlines, already pre-written in the minds of many, had already signed her off. Hollywood brat in over her head. The narrative was firmly established. She was an imposter, a dilettante, destined to fail. Here's the part, the crucial, often overlooked truth that most people missed amidst the cacophony of online criticism and cynical predictions. While the internet collectively roasted her awkward silence and perceived lack of wrestling acumen, Ronda Rousey wasn't basking in Hollywood's glow. She had, with a quiet determination that belied her public image, relocated her entire life to Orlando. Her alarm clock, a stark contrast to the late nights of celebrity life, was set for 5 a.m., a time when most were still dreaming. Her new address, the unforgiving, demanding confines of the WWE Performance Center. There was no entourage, no carefully curated Instagram workouts designed for public consumption. It was just her, the seasoned coach Brian Kendrick, and a wrestling ring, exclusively hers, in the pre-dawn hours before the eager rookies even began to roll in. She drilled chain wrestling sequences with the same obsessive, relentless precision she once applied to perfecting her armbar transitions. This wasn't casual practice. This was hundreds upon hundreds of repetitions, pushing her body until her forearms were a canvas of bruises, until the movements became an instinctive, seamless flow. She devoured wrestling tape like a dedicated film nerd dissecting a classic. Hart vs. Austin, a masterclass in storytelling and psychology. Rock vs. Cena, a study in larger-than-life charisma. Every WrestleMania classic, absorbed and analyzed for its pacing, its emotional beats, its subtle nuances. She didn't just watch, she studied, breaking down each match to its core components. She even went as far as to ask producers to send her house show dark match footage, the unpolished, raw performances few ever see, so she could meticulously critique her own nascent footwork, her positioning, her timing. Triple H, a man who understands the very essence of professional wrestling, later admitted with a tone of genuine admiration. She was training like she was fighting for a UFC title again. The only discernible difference this time? The belt she was truly fighting for wasn't made of leather and gold. It was forged from the much more elusive, much more valuable currency of respect, a respect she was determined to earn through sheer, unyielding effort. The narrative demanded a test, a proving ground, and WWE, ever the master of dramatic irony, orchestrated it perfectly. They paired her with Kurt Angle, the revered Olympic wrestling legend, against the formidable duo of Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. It was a match dripping with symbolism, the Olympian protege learning from the wrestling Olympian, a passing of the torch, or so it seemed. On paper, the concept was flawless, a story waiting to write itself. In practice, however, it was an immense, almost suffocating pressure cooker. Angle's neck, a testament to years of grueling competition, was held together by what many believed were prayers and sheer force of will, a delicate balance that limited his in-ring capabilities. Stephanie, a formidable character in her own right, hadn't competed in a significant match since SummerSlam years prior, and her in-ring rust was a known factor. And Triple H, the King of Kings, a ring general through and through, was undeniably brilliant. But even he, with all his experience and prowess, couldn't realistically carry three other individuals, especially one as green as Rousey was perceived to be. The storyline, crafted with surgical precision, leaned heavily into the prevailing narrative that Rousey might, indeed, freeze under the immense WrestleMania spotlight. Promos showed her visibly struggling, stumbling over catchphrases that felt alien on her tongue, reinforcing the image of an awkward newcomer. Stephanie, in her delicious, venomous heel tone, would deliberately mispronounce her name, calling her Ronnie, a subtle yet deeply irritating jab that made fans simultaneously laugh at the villainy and cringe in shared discomfort for Rousey. By the Go Home Raw, the final broadcast before the grand event, the message was crystal clear, hammered home with relentless intensity. If Rousey messed up, if she faltered, she wouldn't just bury herself. She would, in the eyes of many, bury the very concept of women main eventers in WWE, potentially setting back years of progress. The weight of expectation, the burden of an entire division, rested squarely on her shoulders. No pressure at all, of course. April 8th, 2018. The Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans. The air, thick with anticipation and the raw energy of nearly 78,000 screaming fans, pulsed with an almost tangible electricity. Millions more watched, glued to their screens, across every corner of the globe. The mixed tag match, Rousey's debut, was placed fourth from the top of the card, an unheard-of, almost audacious placement for a newcomer, signaling WWE's immense faith, or perhaps gamble, in her star power. JoJo, the ring announcer, began the introductions, her voice echoing through the cavernous arena. The second Rousey's signature entrance music, Joan Jett's Bad Reputation, hit, the crowd instantly bifurcated. One half erupted in a cacophony of cheers, a hopeful roar for the unknown. The other half, a sea of glowing phone screens, were held aloft, ready to capture what many fully expected to be an inevitable, glorious train wreck of a debut. Within 30 agonizing seconds of the bell, she was legally in the ring for the very first time, a deer caught in the brightest of headlights. Commentary, ever quick to capitalize on the prevailing narrative, immediately highlighted her seemingly tentative, deer-in-headlights body language, reinforcing the public's skepticism. Then, in a single, explosive instant, it happened. Triple H, a master of psychological warfare and brute force, charged at her with a powerful haymaker. Rousey, with an instinct honed from years of high-stakes combat, ducked under the blow, a fluid, almost imperceptible motion. She countered instantly, a judo toss executed with such raw power and technical precision that it visibly rattled the very ring posts. The sound of the impact, the sheer force of it, was undeniable. The arena, moments before a cauldron of skepticism, exploded. It wasn't just a cheer, it was a primal, guttural roar, Like a winning goal at the World Cup, a sudden collective gasp of disbelief turning into a wave of unadulterated excitement. In that singular, breathtaking moment, every preconceived notion, every cynical whisper, every doubt was not just challenged, but utterly shattered. The game had changed. Let's truly break down the magic, the intricate tapestry woven in those 10 minutes that fundamentally altered perceptions. First, and perhaps most crucially, she sold. This wasn't the exaggerated, often comedic, stunt woman sells that often plague celebrity appearances. This was genuine, visceral wrestler selling. When Triple H, a man of immense power, delivered a thunderous lariat that sent her careening into the corner, she didn't just fall. She bounced off the turnbuckles with a jarring impact, reacting as if she were desperately dodging oncoming traffic, conveying real, believable pain and impact. Second, her transitions were seamless, a testament to those unseen hours of dedicated training. An arm drag flowed into a knee bar with the fluid grace of a seasoned veteran, smooth as butter, leaving even the most discerning fans impressed. Then, the jaw-dropping moment. A deadlift vertical suplex that saw her hoist the 230-pound Kurt Angle clean off his feet and slam him back down with shocking power. The camera caught Angle's reaction, a subtle yet unmistakable raising of an eyebrow, a silent acknowledgement of her unexpected strength and skill. Third, and vital to connecting with the audience, she emoted. When Stephanie McMahon, in her villainous cunning, raked Rousey's eyes, Rousey's subsequent glare was not just an act. It was a furious, almost feral intensity that felt like it could melt steel. Conversely, when the crowd, now fully invested, clapped her on, she flashed that familiar, genuine UFC grin, a flash of pure, unadulterated joy that instantly endeared her to the masses. Fourth, she paced herself with an intelligence far beyond her experience. Instead of spamming her limited arsenal of moves, she built her offense strategically, understanding the rhythm of a wrestling match. She knew precisely when to build to the dramatic hot tags, when to milk key moments for maximum emotional impact, and even, with a surprising awareness, checked on a downed angle at precisely the right moment, showcasing a deep understanding of in-ring storytelling. At one incredible juncture, she hoisted Triple H onto her shoulders for a Samoan drop, a move of immense power typically reserved for much larger, more experienced male wrestlers. The commentary team, usually quick with a quip, went utterly silent for 3 full seconds, a collective, stunned gasp, before Corey Graves, almost whispering in disbelief, uttered, "That's not supposed to be possible." In the highly theatrical world of professional wrestling, silence in moments like these is unequivocally the loudest cheer, a testament to an achievement that defied all expectations. The match built to its inevitable dramatic climax, a crescendo of action and emotion. Stephanie McMahon, seizing an opportunity, smashed Rousey with her husband's signature finisher, the pedigree. She taunted, she covered, fully expecting the 3 count. But then came the kick-out, a defiant, earth-shaking rejection of defeat that sent a fresh wave of shock and exhilaration through the Superdome. It was a moment that solidified Rousey's resilience, her refusal to stay down. Mere seconds later, Rousey, with a predatory precision, trapped Stephanie in a Kimura lock, the very same devastating armbar submission that had brutally broken the wills, and often the limbs, of storied MMA opponents like Miesha Tate, Sarah McMahon, and Kat Zingano. The crowd, now completely and utterly in her corner, erupted into a thunderous, unified chant of "Tap! Tap! Tap!" The sound was so overwhelming, so all-encompassing, that it literally drowned out the voices of the commentary team. Stephanie, with no escape, no alternative, tapped clean at the 950 mark, a definitive, undeniable submission. The referee counted 3. Rousey stood tall, her arm raised in triumph, and the audience that had arrived brimming with skepticism rose as one, delivering a standing ovation that resonated with newfound respect. Twitter, the digital barometer of public opinion, exploded with retractions and praise. She belongs. Match of the night. I was wrong. Even Dave Meltzer, the notoriously stringent wrestling journalist, awarded the contest a highly respectable 3 3/4 stars, a rating higher than half the established matches on the entire WrestleMania card. The Hollywood brat, the perceived outsider, had not only proven herself, she had, in a single, unforgettable performance, become the people's champ. The transformation was complete, a powerful testament to the triumph of effort over expectation. The very next night, on Raw, the air was still buzzing with the aftershocks of WrestleMania. Rousey, stepping into the ring, addressed the elephant in the room, acknowledging the legions of doubters with a quiet conviction. "I heard every last one of you say I couldn't do it." But her tone wasn't one of gloating or arrogance. Instead, it was one of genuine appreciation. She thanked the locker room, not for their initial skepticism, but for inadvertently pushing her, for fueling her drive to prove them wrong. It was a subtle, yet powerful display of humility and professionalism.